Hey everybody, so this is Josh, the Retro Regamer here. I want to talk to you about something that I really like and love, which is the Dreamcast. So I'm going to talk to you about some accessories today that go along with the Dreamcast. I was a huge fan of the Dreamcast even as a kid. I remember when it came out, I remember all the hype around it. It got really hyped up, and my friend down the street, his dad had a Genesis, and that was probably my first experience with the Genesis, and that was his dad's Genesis. That wasn't his Genesis. His dad made it very clear that we could only play it if he allowed us to and things like that, which was cool, and that's fine, but he let us actually play some games on it, which was cool. But later, when the Dreamcast came out, he bought the Dreamcast, and I was so ecstatic when it came out. I really, really, really wanted a Dreamcast, and we went over there and played some games. Like I think we played Street Fighter, maybe Marvel vs. Capcom, but the Dreamcast was touting arcade quality, great arcade games in the home. Like, this is a true console to actually bring arcade games home. All these big fighting games and beat 'em ups that have gotten really popular. So that was just really amazing, and I was really excited about that. And it was one of those things. I don't know. I really, really wanted it, and as a kid, I just had amped it up so much in my mind that it was such this amazing console. And I still think it's a very amazing console that's really underappreciated. It has some quirky designs to it. It has some weird games. Like any of the systems, they have some of their oddities. But I don't know, the Dreamcast just holds a special place in my heart because it was such a great console. Hit me at a great time when it came out. And I really wish I could have gotten one. I didn't get one until years later, but like Marvel vs. Capcom, I would go to the local putt-putt. They had that in the arcade there. They had a Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I think it was called like a Big Boy cabinet or something like that. It was the bigger cabinet for Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and it was amazing. And I just loved it. I would dump so many quarters in it, even though I didn't get tickets out of it. And so when I saw that on the Dreamcast, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get this. Like, how did they do that? Like, it looks the same. I mean, it just blew me away. Great sound and audio and visuals and all that. So anyway, the Dreamcast controllers, as you may know, were these typical, white controllers here, and they had kind of the gray backing, kind of interesting design. They've got the colorful buttons there on this side here, and they've got the red swirl up here. The European release actually had a blue swirl because there was another company that was already using the red swirl, actually. So for copyright reasons and things, they couldn't use that. The weird thing that people talk about is, this controller cord comes out the bottom, which is weird because if you're holding the console like this, facing the TV, and the cord has to come up, and there's a little groove back here, which is weird. And then slots for the VMU units and all that. But this is the standard kind of, controller, what you would get. There was the Dreamcast, released in the US, there was the Dreamcast, the Sports Edition, which was the black Dreamcast, which I have one of those, and I actually modded the LED in it and put in a blue LED and did a few other things with it. I really like it. And it came with black controllers. You could get an all-black controller. It was black on the front, black on the back. Still had the colorful buttons and stuff, but it had a black controller, which was really cool. But I want to talk to you guys about some other types of variant controllers. Specifically, well, I want to show you what the primary ones that you would see are. Now, there are a couple different ones, and you would see where they had changed the faceplate that came out in the US, where you'd see the faceplate was different. So here's an example of one of those. If you see here, so it's got this see-through faceplate, which is really cool. So same kind of gray back there, but this, see-through faceplate was just awesome. I mean, see-through things in general at that time were just super cool. Like all the Nintendo 64s that were different colors, I loved those and gravitated towards those. So I really like this controller too, because it's just smoke gray or whatever you want to call it. I really like that one too. But some other controllers that didn't come out here in the States are ones that you could get through a special online service called the Sega DreamPoints Bank. So DreamPoints Bank basically worked kind of like what you do with Nintendo, or what Nintendo used to do, where you get Nintendo Gold or Nintendo coins and stuff for buying their games, and you go online and register, submit your game, and you get points, and then you can turn those in for items or things like that, like physical things. So Sega did something very similar back with the Dreamcast. And so what they did was called the DreamPoint Bank. There was an advertisement in it in several different like gaming magazines, and then also the Dreamcast, they put in little papers inside of the Dreamcast games that talked about the Dream Points, and you could go online and register, and sign up for it. So as far as I know, we didn't have anything really like that from like Sega of America. This was specifically Sega of Japan that did that, although you may have been able to actually still get those points and like create it and send it in Japanese and send it over there. But I mean, the internet wasn't really that big yet. It was still kind of taking off steam, so I don't think a lot of people really maybe knew about that or searched for it or had done a lot of stuff. I mean, there were websites and all that. I mean, and it was getting there, in 2000, but it had been around for a little while, but it was still incredibly slow. Took a lot of work. A lot of people were still like iffy about the internet in general, and not really like diving in, signing up for everything and all that. And then you had other people who were like gung-ho and would put their name on everything and every kind of call list and get 15 million AOL discs a month, So anyway, so I personally tried to like stay away from putting my name on stuff like that because I just figured I'd get a bunch of crap and get a bunch of stuff in the mail that I didn't want. So, but I would have done this if I had known this was something. I would have been all over it. But anyway, so you could save up your points, and you could get things like controllers, VMU units, even special edition Dreamcast. There were several things that you could get from the bank, and I can't remember how much it was to get like a controller, but if I find that, I'll put it in the description. But this is what I wanted to show you guys is, so whenever you got it, you'd mail it away, and you'd mail in your points, you turn in your points, and they'd mail you a box. So this is the box with the controller in it. You can see here, right there, I'm going to try to get it into focus. It'll say Dreampoint Bank right there, Dreamcast, and it's got their little seal kind of thing on it. So they'd mail you this back, and I'm going to open it up and show you guys kind of what it looks like and what you'd get. So there it came in. It was pretty basic, so you'd get your little, little thing, basically talking some basic instructions real quick here. You can see talking about the controller, how it works, all that stuff. You get a little coupon in there, and you'd also get your controller! Yay! So this particular one is they call it the Marble Edition or the Slate Edition. There's a bunch of different names out there for it. This one's pretty much never been used. It's been in the box since day one. I haven't used it yet. I've thought about it because I think it's really cool. But so it's a marble kind of slate one. So this is still plastic on the front, the faceplate, but it kind of looks like it's stone maybe or something like that because the way they did the stone and the gray lines and stuff, and still has the kind of gray back there. Everything else is the same, but they changed out the faceplate. Well, they had several other ones that they did too. So some of the other ones, they had a camouflage one, they had a pink camouflage one, they had like a leopard print one. They had a bunch of cool ones. One other one that I really liked though, and I wanted to talk about it's got a couple different names. I've seen brown marble. I don't think that really is right. The one I've seen the most is the wood grain or wood controller. These apparently are pretty difficult to find because they weren't one of the more popular ones. It seemed like everybody really wanted the different color ones or the camouflage ones. I see lots of the leopard print one, but here's what this one looks like. So if you see, it's kind of a brown, it looks like wood. I mean, it's kind of a brown wood grain. But what's striking to me about this one, which I don't think they did on any of the other ones, I'll have to check, is notice it's got, instead of the gray controller pieces there, it's actually got, oh, here, let me move this over. It's actually got the black ones. So the Sports Edition had the black, analog stick and the D-pad, but not any other one that I'm aware of other than this one. So the other thing is the molding. Like, they did all fresh molding for this. So this got the brown molding. They didn't just reuse the white molding like is in all the other models. And also on the back, they molded it completely in brown. And you see you've got the black triggers back there and all that as well. And I just think that's really awesome because to me that's a more unique item because they had to do it specifically, for this one. Even the little piece on the controller here is brown as well. And I just think that's a really neat touch. They put a little bit more time and care into it. It wasn't just, let's keep slapping stuff on the faceplate and changing it out. And I can't remember, I don't think any of the other Dreampoint Bank ones had that kind of a more elaborate design going into it. And the wood one just looks really nice. Like if you didn't know better, it looks like wood. Like you'd think you're about to touch wood and then it's plastic. But it's really cool. So oh yeah, the start button there too. It's kind of subtle. I almost missed it. But they also apparently made VMU units to match the controller. So you could get a marble slate VM unit. You could also get a brown kind of wooden looking VM unit. I haven't found that yet. I've been looking for a while. and I haven't really come across one yet. I've only seen, well, I take that back. I've seen one so far, but the guy wanted crazy amounts of money for it, and I just could not go for that. But I've got a couple other VMU units. If you look on there, you can find, ones that are completely sealed, still fresh and new, that are, sealing the pack. There's a lot of new old stock out there for those. So if you're into that, definitely check those out. I've got a couple different ones that are still sealed. They even had a vibration pack for these, like you could plug it into the VMU unit. And I've got one actually right here. So this is another cool little piece for the Dreamcast. So you can see, I think this came from Dreamcast Europe, because see, it's got the blue here, but it had it was a vibration pack. So you'd plug that in, and it was a rumble pack for your Dreamcast. I never even knew that existed. I knew they had it on the 64, and I knew that Nintendo did that here and there, and that PlayStation did that. But I didn't realize they ever did anything like that for the Dreamcast. So that's pretty awesome. So you can also find, I've got some old stock of the Dreamcast boxes. You can find a few of those, and they'll tell you like if it's got a different faceplate on it. Like this one's got the blue faceplate. See, and it sold DC controller, $29.99 Dreamcast controller. It's got the light on it there, but it'll focus in a second. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. It would tell you what it was, but most of them come in this. So I've got a few that are still boxed that haven't been opened, but most of those are the regular standard white controllers that you're going to find out there. But anyway, so that's just really interesting. Something I thought was really neat, really cool. I'm just really a huge fan of this guy, and I've played with it a couple times. I don't know. I just think it's really cool, and it looks neat, and it's a great conversation piece because a lot of people have never seen these or heard about it. So it's kind of obscure, and not a lot of people know they even are out there. So if you're looking for it, you should definitely check around online. You can find them. I think they go for the slate one. Well, I know the leopard one and the camouflage ones usually can pick up for about $50. The slate ones, stone-looking ones, usually go for a little bit more, maybe more like 70 or so. The brown one, I've seen it go all over the place. I got a really great deal on mine several years ago for about 60, but I've seen it up to about 150 or so. So kind of keep your eye out for it. It kind of fluctuates a lot. So, depending on, I don't think a lot of people know about it. It just depends on how much the person paid for it, how much they want to try to get out of it, and, if you're willing to pay for it. So, anyway, there you go. You should check those out. Definitely look into some more Dreamcast stuff. There's tons of awesome accessories out there for it.